Before we get started, I got a couple of sticker shout outs. One is from Tales from the Tinkerage. That's Andy Pugh. We know him really well from his presence over on Instagram. I didn't realize he even had a YouTube channel until now, but I'll leave a link to both of those in the description below. And then the Missouri Old Timer, someone who didn't tell me his name, sent me a sticker in. So, but he has a YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to it too, and I'll get stickers out to both of them. And if you want a sticker, just send it to the address below, and I'll get you one right back out as soon as I can. On to what we're doing today. We're back onto the Triplet bike. We were going to finish it up, but we ran into a snag. One of the cranks that we ordered is not the right size, and the new one won't be here for a while. But I will show you what we've done so far, and that is that we've welded the frame up, we've had the chain tensioners, and put the two front cranks on. Then at the end we'll shift gears and get on into a different project, because there's no way we're going to be able to finish the Triplet this week without that crank.
So my ability to cut these frame tubes and fit them together is just fine. I was really confident about that, but my skill as a TIG welder is not the best. So what we did is we ran an ad on Craigslist, and we hired a guy. We paid him $50 an hour to come do the welding for us. He spent about 4 hours doing all the welding. And what we're looking at here is a common head tube that we had to fabricate to join the two rear frames together. The smaller portion is basically a fork steer tube that we welded in, and this is all 4130 chromoly tubing. The smaller tube here is we'll take standard handlebar stems and mount two sets of handlebars, one for each of the two rear stokers onto the frame there. And here I thought it would be good to show you some of this TIG welding, both with and without the welding filter lens. So we tacked the frame together on the wooden fixture that we had built, and then once it was all tacked, we pulled it off the fixture and began welding it. And you see these 2x4s here, we clamped those on to help keep it in alignment, because as we welded it, it began to pull in certain directions. Later on we brought in an aluminum straight edge, and the welder went along and strategically heated the welds in certain places to pull the frame back into alignment. It was really quite a treat to watch him work. And the next thing we need to do is fabricate some chain tensioners. And we've got the first bend, now we'll make the second bend. The client had the foresight to get some 4130 sheet just in case, and it came in handy for this. Alright, now to the milling machine. We got some real nice derailleur rollers that we're going to use as the chain tensioners, and all we needed to do was cut slots into this channel that we made so the derailleur rollers can slide up and down and take up the slack of the chain.
And this is how the chain tensioners turned out, and I think that's pretty decent. The next step is to install the cranks and chains on the bike and then figure out where these need to be mounted. It's a brand new Surly crank. What the hell is rattling in there? I'm going to find out by posting on Instagram and tagging Surly. Maybe they'll have an answer. Well, I'm having a little trouble with the middle one. I think I'm going to take it to a shop and have the threads chased with a thread tap. But we'll go ahead and move on to the back. Ugh, that's a different tool. Ah.
And this is where we learned that we had a 30mm bearing but a 24mm crank, and they have also discontinued the 30mm crank. So we are in a bind and scrambling to find replacement parts to fit this frame, which is also discontinued.
And that, my friends, is as far as we were able to get. Now, over on Instagram and on Facebook, there's people been asking me a few questions, and I figured I'd just take this time to answer those questions. One of the people that had a question was Andy Pugh, who we mentioned at the top of the video because he sent a sticker in. He wants to know what is my origin in making and where do I want to take it? Well, the first project I can remember is extending the forks on my Stingray. I used EMT conduit. I hammered down the ends and till they were flat, and then used a hacksaw to cut out new axle slots, and then I ovaled the other ends and just kind of beat them onto the fork tips of my Stingray, and I had myself a chopper. And that's probably the first thing I made. And it's just been non-stop since then. That taught me all you gotta do is keep trying, and eventually you get there, right? As far as where do I want to take it, I'd like to develop some products that I could sell and make a big fat pile of money so I don't have to worry about bills anymore. But aside from that, just wherever it leads me is fine. My sister wants to know what my next metal furniture project's going to be, and it's going to be a Chinese elm bench. And there's not going to be a video on that because it's the same work I did on the surfboard bench, and I'll leave a link in the card above to the surfboard bench so you can see that. Now, if you guys follow me over on Instagram at wildman.tech, a lot of you notice that I will frequently use a banana for scale over there, and this is it. It's a plastic banana. And the reason I do that is because a lot of times you can't tell how big the thing I took a picture of is. So the banana for scale is a popular thing to do over on Instagram. And my friend John would like to know how big my banana for scale is. And it is 6 5/8 inches. And last but not least, Carl Pountney asks if time or money was no object, what would I change about my shop? And well, you know, the place is pretty decent, really. What we've got here is a block wall, 3-bay garage, and next to it we've got a wooden wall, 2-bay garage, and they're all tied together, total of 5 bays. So if time or money were no object, what I would do is I would actually just level the place and build a brand new building here. Concrete walls, tougher doors, add a second story, half of which would be like an apartment that I could rent out, and the other half would be like a clean room that I could use for electronics projects. Because electronics out here where I do the welding and the woodwork just isn't the best. Plus, I'd like to have a concrete wall between the wood and the metal, because I've found a few smoldering piles of sawdust on occasion. Anyway, that's all for now. Thank you for stopping in. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Click up here to see my last video. Click over here to see something of mine that YouTube thinks you'll like. And have a good one.